Hello everyone, I'm Kabir Dureja, one of the co-authors of our study, Decoding the Star System, Understanding the Barriers of Network Literacy Among Indian Journalists. The other co-authors are Dr. Aasim Khan, Midhat, Fatimah, and Vedant Jumle. This study is done under the News Lab project at IIT Delhi. So the discourse around digitalization and the subsequent advent of social media in the context of journalism has largely focused on the democratization of news industry. However, the understanding of how social media today has also transformed the way journalists connect with peers in the news industry in terms of the networks that emerge between them and also the way they engage with their audience online is limited, particularly in terms of the experiences they seek and actually they have once online. Twitter in particular has not only emerged as a prominent social media platform for leading public discourses, but also as a space facilitating the formation of networks that complement institutions such as the press clubs, which are in steady decline with the advent of digitalization. While a significant presence of journalists on Twitter warrants diversity of narratives, evidently journalists identifying to the left liberal spaces often face challenges in the form of cyber harassment and are subjected to politically motivated online trolling. Also, in terms of building an audience online, the study makes an effort in understanding the patterns and networks of followers that emerge on Twitter, while also studying what factions or groups tend to follow specific kind of journalists. Besides using first-hand survey data with journalists from national as well as regional press, the article also draws on Twitter biography and network data to explore the relationship between the journalists' experiences, more specifically where they have to face abuse and trolling. Using network graphs and topic modeling, the self-descriptions of the journalists, their followers, and the Twitter accounts they follow, we come up a first of its kind study of journalism in the digital era. We focused on studying particular cohorts that formed in the data to find emerging patterns if there were any. For this, we create 4 cohorts: celeb friends, all friends of the handles that identify as celebrity journalists, lied under the celeb friends cohort. The non-celeb national friends, all the friends of the handles that identify as non-celebrity journalists are nationally oriented are under this cohort. The non-celeb regional friends, all the friends of handles that identify as non-celebrity journalists and are regionally oriented lie under this cohort. And the last cohort was non-celeb friends, all the friends of handles that identify as non-celebrity journalists. For finding patterns, we chose to process the text present in the biography of these handles that belong to particular cohort. First, the text was pre-processed, and then using this pre-processed corpus of text, we created a bag of words representation of the text, and then topic models were made using the LDA. For each of the cohorts, we created a distinct topic model by first creating many models initially and optimizing a metric called coherence score. We use NLTK for pre-processing stage and GenSim for the LDA topic models and coherence score calculation. For the visualization, we use PyLDA-Viz. A systematic sampling method was used on the obtained stratified sample, wherein 10 most recent friends and 10 earliest friends of each journalist from each cohort was selected to prepare a friends network graph. And friends here refers to the people the journalists follow. The data for the samples were collected between the period of February to March 2022. And Twitter API was used using the 2EP library in Python to collect data, and Pandas library was used to handle and manipulate the obtained data. PyG-Sheets module was used to establish a connection between Python script and Google Sheet to cache the data. And in order to visualize these network graphs, Jeffy software was used. The sample size of each cohort after obtaining the friends of each journalist and eliminating the duplicates was for the non-celebrity regional journalist, there were 431 nodes. For the non-celebrity national journalist, there were 423 nodes. And for the celebrity national journalist, there were 194 nodes. Now, once these nodes were obtained, we ran the script and obtained the connections among each node, like among the group of nodes. And the sample size for that were as follows. Non-celebrity regional journalists, it was 8,736 connections. And for the non-celebrity national journalists, it was 9,309 connections. And for the celebrity national journalist, it was 3,809 connections. The above samples were plugged into JEFI software to visualize these network graphs, which are visible here. And we computed modularity for each network graph to distinguish the sub-communities and make the graph more understandable. To lay out the graph, the Force Atlas graph layout was used, which enables a structure where most connected nodes are pushed to the periphery of the network and nodes connected with them are aligned around them. And the sizing of the nodes here are done on the basis of in-degree classification. So after analyzing the topic models, it was found that the friends of celebrity national journalists, the celebrity national journalists here, are mostly fellow journalists who cover India and editors and who cover politics. These journalists include those who are affiliated with the news outlets like Indian Express and Hindustan Times. And some journalists associate themselves with Indian identity. And there are also a considerable amount of official accounts of people like spokesperson, ambassadors, ministers in this category. And their friends list is also included authors. So this cohort, the national celebrity cohort, also shows their interest in the news of national and international importance. For the non-celebrity national journalist graph, we found an interesting finding that cricket is a trending sport in this network, especially the Indian Premier League. As a sub-community involving famous Indian as well as overseas cricket players can be seen on the side of the network marked in violet here. This suggests that the friends of the non-celebrity national journalists have a keen interest in cricket. Another interesting finding is that the prominent Indian news media publishing companies such as the Indian Express and Times of India also lie in the same community. Many figures in the graph were found to be journalists from the Indian Express, and international community can be distinguished, which consisted reputed global media news channels and journal magazine companies. For the regional graphs, the friends of non-celeb regional journalists are mostly those involved in news and entertainment industry. There are also some who have held editorial positions. Their friends also include people who associated themselves with the Karnataka government and politics. The graph suggests that friends of non-celeb regional journalists are interested in a variety of subjects. The presence of big businessmen in the network suggests that journalists' friends are interested in business. Moreover, some comedy and entertainment groups are also present in the graph. In addition, an inclination towards the sports and music is also visible. Some prominent international political personalities are also identified, tending to the center of the network, indicating their popularity among the friends. A cluster of international media companies is also identified, suggesting that their interest in global news. Another cluster consisting of famous Indian chefs was also identified. So therefore, it can be concluded that their interest, the friends of non-celeb regional journalists, their interests are not only limited to politics and journalism, but are also in sports, media, entertainment, business, technology, and music, as figures from a wide range of domains are found in this graph. Statistically, this graph had the highest modularity score among all the other graphs, which suggests a relatively strong community structure. And it can be clearly observed that nodes in this graph are well connected and relatively more engaged in the network, indicating less isolation on the network's periphery. So the study concludes that there is a clear distinction in the pattern in which journalists across the three cohorts are willing to form networks, and spots light on the continuing practice of exclusively celebrity culture within the journalist fraternity in the age of social media. The findings of the study give a starting point for developing tools to enhance network literacy among journalists that will help overcome the divide between celebrity and non-celebrity journalists. And for the sake of safety and privacy, the graphs, the labels in the graph are anonymized. So yeah, thank you so much.